Where's the...
What up, Bulls Nation? We've got a live CHGO Bulls coming up for y'all right around the corner. On today's show, sitting in for Big Dave, it's our pal Drew Stevens from the Bigs here to talk Bulls with us. He had an interesting question on Twitter the other day. How would you rank the offseason moves the Bulls have made? We're going to break that down. Plus, we know who and when the Bulls will face in the NBA Cup. Who's excited? We'll talk about it next. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls podcast. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. That's Will to go Gottlieb giving you a wave. He's perfectly coiffed, as
Got
always.
it right this time.
Will_Gottlieb, that's right. Queen of the controls, the one and only Katie W. What up, Katie?
Hi.
Hey, she's excited about something Taylor Swift is doing later tonight. And sitting in, being a guest host for today, covers the Bulls for the Bigs. Follow them at the Bigs Media. Follow him at Drew_H_Stevens. It's our friend Drew Stevens back on the program. What up, Drew?
What's going on, fellas? This is my first time actually sitting in on studio with, with Will.
I keep
this
trying to
awesome.
ditch you, but
yeah.
I couldn't get away with it today.
Oh, is he like usually like at the UC? But like if he's at the UC, you're at the UC.
I think I was out of town when he came in last.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
But I think you came in like 2 years ago, too.
It was a summer episode
Yeah.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you were gone.
Yeah.
It's the first time, man.
It's not personal, I promise.
It's cool. It's cool, man. I still love it.
A lot of people feel that way about Go. Like, oh, it's so great to be back at CHGO. You know, come through every once in a while. Never see Go here. Where's Goat?
The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, I guess.
That's right. So on today's show, we're going to talk about the Bulls' offseason moves and how we would rank them, because that was an interesting question that Drew posed on Twitter the other day to the Bulls universe. But first, earlier today, as part of the league's schedule rollout, the Bulls put out a press release announcing their schedule for the Emirates Cup games. Versus who, on which dates. Everybody excited for some Halloween basketball action? Because the Bulls are hosting the New York Knicks on October 31st, their first of 4 group play games for the NBA Cup. They also will play the Milwaukee Bucks on November 7th in Milwaukee. Then, November 21st, hosting the Miami Heat and that crew that we are all too familiar with from the play-in tournament. And then wrapping things up with the Charlotte Hornets on the road Friday, November 28th. The Bulls have yet to get out of the group stage since the inception of the Emirates NBA Cup. I think this is a pretty competitive group for the Bulls, honestly. Depends on how you think Miami and Charlotte are going to be this year, what the Bucks will do around Giannis. Obviously, the Knicks, the toughest competition. Drew, initial thoughts on, of course, not only who we're playing, because we've known the group for a while, but home and away. What do you like?
I don't know, man. I saw that release, and honestly, I'm just kind of mad. I don't know, because the Bulls traditionally have not played well in NBA Cup competition. I'm just more so looking at the broader scope of things and how Modest Buzelis might play against these 4 teams. That's essentially what, to me, is the biggest part of this season, and will continue to be until further notice. Obviously, we believe that Josh Giddey is going to re-sign. Kobe is going to be here, we believe. So those 2 guys will be important to the success of the team. Whether or not Noa Essengue gets any playing time is going to be important. So I'm just looking at it from that perspective. I don't expect a ton from this team in terms of where they may fall in the standings. Mm-hmm. I think I'm one of a couple of people maybe in the group chat that I'm in with Will that I believe that there's a chance that the Bulls may not make the play-in tournament this season.
Oh, really?
You're lower on them than I am.
Hot take.
I don't know, man. I'm just
noted pessimist.
It's just more so about just seeing where kind of things fall. And I hate to be like a glass half empty kind of person, but
you're around friends, Drew.
I'm in a position where like I have one foot in the realm of being a media member, and I obviously have to be objective in some of the things that I do. But then I also have another foot where I grew up a Bulls fan. I was lucky enough to see this team at its peak, the Jordan and Pippen days, the 6 championships in 9 seasons. So I guess a part of me is a bit of a Bull snob because I've seen the highs of the highs.
Yeah.
And I would very much like for this team to get back to some semblance of that. Now, again, there's a certain measure of objectivity that I have to have, but in my heart of hearts, I want this team and franchise to do well. So I'm kind of.
If you got a taste of the good old days, those of us who were lucky enough, it's hard to gear yourself up for is this going to be the year the Bulls get to the elimination stage of the in-season cup? Who cares?
Yeah, it's kind of like the bigger picture. What does it all mean? I think that they do have a plan. We can disagree on, how successful that plan will be, but where are we going? Where's the light at the end of the tunnel of this thing? That's kind of where I am.
Shout out to Rob in the comments with the Dalen Scary Terry Halloween night and Modest Boo Zealous. I like that.
Ooh, Boo Zealous.
Also, shout out to Katie. That graphic was on point. I like that one with the background of the court. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about the in-season tournament or the NBA Cup, or whatever they're calling it this year. The Bulls actually were they won their second and third game last year. I'm just looking at their schedule.
Yeah, because wasn't last year their last group stage game? If they had won that game, they would have advanced.
And they ended up losing by 18 to the Cavs. They lost their first game to Cleveland, but then crushed the Wizards and then crushed the Hawks, and that put them in a position where they could have potentially advanced had they beaten out the Cavs. But that was a much tougher competition, tougher group stage than the one they have now. I don't know. I do want to dig in more to Drew what you're saying about the Bulls record and where you think they'll end up. I'm just so low on the Eastern Conference that and the Bulls played the Knicks really well last year. They lost they won a couple of games. They lost one in overtime. That was a game that Io got hurt. That was after All-Star break. I think they can play them really well. We know that they played the Heat well, at least during the regular season. The Bucks, the Bulls beat them a couple times too. If Giannis tweaks a hamstring, they're going to be a disaster. They have no support around him and Miles Turner.
Yeah.
And then the Hornets, I think, will be maybe slightly more competitive this year, but they kind of know what's what. And I think generally speaking, the teams that are maybe you could argue either way for the play-in are going to go towards the bottom because there's 3 number 1 picks in this next draft. So would it surprise me if the Bulls are, coming out of this group? Yeah, but maybe not really. So I don't know. I could see it. It just kind of depends on what happens in terms of injuries and all of that.
Well, here's another theory. If Drew's prediction comes true that it's possible the Bulls could actually miss the play-in tournament this season if they don't figure out how to win without, the Zach LaVine train for the first half of the season, maybe they don't make the play-in tournament, but they do for the first time advance out of the in-season tournament. Because it can't be both. I mean, you can't ask too much from the Bulls when it comes to advancing in these things that actually are not really the signs of a competitive team. I just, before we move on from it, Drew, your general feeling about the NBA Cup being a thing. Most people see it for what it is. It's just a big money grab from the league to put more glitz and glamour around these specific games, broadcast money and all that. But as somebody who again remembers the good old days where hey, what day is it, what month is it, whatever, it's another regular season game, we're going to go out there and try hard to win. I think the other part of it, other than the cash grab, was we need to incentivize the players in some of these slog 82 game season games to have something to play for, similar to the All-Star stuff and why they keep trying to change that format. What's your take on that?
It's not that exciting to me, but I will say up until the point where they get to Vegas. Once they get to Vegas, it's a little bit of a different story. Where you got
it's the Final Four, right?
Yeah, the Final Four teams, and obviously those games have a little more stakes to them than they otherwise would, and whoever comes out the champion of the in-season tournament, I guess it means something to them. I think are they raising banners now? Are they giving out rings?
The Lakers did the first year, and everybody rightly made fun of them for it.
So I mean, it's cool. I understand why they're doing it. They need to try to raise the stakes and get more interest into the games, into the league in the beginning of the season before the holidays hit and we get these Christmas Day games. So I get it, but it's kind of take it or leave it for me.
I can just see it now. Bulls Thunder NBA Cup championship game in which the winner not only gets to raise the banner, but we also get to finally put to rest the winner of the Caruso for Josh Giddey trade. Conclusively.
Who is the winner of that? I think the Thunder already won it when they became NBA champions, and Caruso was a very important part of their team.
No comment.
That's just me.
But I also wanted to get your opinion on the courts, because when I saw those last couple of years, it was like, I know a lot of people watch them on TV, and it like is very harsh on TV.
It's like the elevator scene from The Shining.
It was not as bad in person, but still bad. What was your take on the courts?
So I honestly, I have not been there for an in-season tournament game because they're always on Fridays. And the way my schedule is set up, I can't do Friday games. So unfortunately, unless something strange happens, that trend of missing those home games is going to continue.
It might be a Tuesday. It's because it's Tuesday and Fridays.
I think I just looked. I think it was still.
Are they both Friday?
I think so.
Too bad.
Yeah.
I know that the Knicks one, the Halloween one, is Friday.
Halloween is Friday.
I was complaining to Katie earlier. I was like, "Oh, thanks, Bulls. You got a Friday Halloween, a cup game? Of course you do. I'll be here.
I'm okay with missing that."
And then you know what? The cynical side of me is looking at it from the standpoint of this in-season tournament, depending on how well they do, and taking into consideration what happens the rest of the season.
Yeah,
it's something else for AK to kind of we did well in the in-season tournament, even though we missed out on the play-in tournament, or we got eliminated from the play-in tournament before we made the playoffs. I don't want to keep giving him things to try to nod to in terms of, we did this. This is pretty good, but it's not really an indication that something better is happening.
The buts that AK has come out recently with over the years is like, but we finished 14-9. It was a disappointing. But we lost the play-in tournament again. But we finished 15-5.
Well, and that's like, it's always about, like you guys are saying, the micro successes. And I don't think anybody is sitting here saying like everything is horrible about the Bulls. Like they can't win any games. They have no young players to build around. They have all bad contracts. Like that's not the case. The problem is that they just have, not a roster that's built to like really compete at the highest level. And they keep on having these micro successes that prevent them from being in position in the lottery. So to me, I'm with you that like these aren't necessarily, like I get why they would use that, because they're trying to direct the narrative in a certain way and sell their product to their fans. But it does, in the grand scheme of things, like actually put you in a worse position, because for most people, like being in the middle is the wrong place to be.
It depends on who you ask.
Depends on who you ask.
Nick P in the chat said the only good thing from the in-season tournament were the Kramer-Seinfeld memes spawned by the Bulls' ridiculously red court. I feel like they toned it down the second year. The first year, that Bulls court was so aggressively red. Couldn't even look at it. Rob saying, meanwhile, in the East, the teams that gain the most chemistry together in the early part of the season and stay healthy will be the top teams, kind of going to your point about the East and how weak it just might be this season, Goat. And when you've got this group of teams that the Bulls will face in the in-season tournament, who, obviously Knicks, the toughest of the bunch. What will the Bucks look like? What will the Heat look like? What will Charlotte look like? It is a very winnable group, if you think about it.
I think so.
And it's the top two teams advance, right?
And then there's it's the first. I think it's the first team in every group.
In every group, and then there's like
groups,
a couple of like wild card picks based on like point differential and all that. Yep. The NBA in-season tournament. Does anybody care yet? I don't think so. Who won it most recently? We struggle to remember.
The Bucks.
Good old Bucks. Sure. All right, we got to knock out a couple ads. When we come back on the other side, we're going to dive into ranking the Bulls' off-season moves, trying to get out of the middle. We'll see. Hit the like button.
Just like your favorite team needs a home field advantage, you need a home floor advantage, and Empire today can help you get it. Empire has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We've all been to the big box store. Biff coming up, tapping you on the shoulder, trying to help you out. But guess what? He was doing sinks yesterday, and he's probably trying out for an Exhibit 10 contract tomorrow for the Windy City Bulls. With Empire today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. You can schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. And guess what, Matt? CHGO listeners, you can receive a $350 discount when you use code CHGO. That's right, $350 off with promo code CHGO Restrictions apply. Terms apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details. Matt, can you hit them with the jingle?
588-2300 Empire.
Today.
Today's show also brought to you by Monarch Money. Finances can be messy and confusing. Adulting is hard. Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. Don't just manage your money. Start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners. Without a clear financial picture, financial dreams can feel a little out of reach. Monarch makes managing money simple, even for busy lives. With all of your accounts, credit cards, and investments in one place, you'll always know where your money stands without the hassle. Monarch was named Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. So join the over 1 million households who are already using this great financial tool. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use promo code CHGO at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off of your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with promo code CHGO. Monarch, show me the money.
Show me the money.
And we're back. CHGO Bulls hanging out on Wednesday afternoon. Peck, Goat, our pal Drew Stevens from the Bigs sitting in with us today. And it is time, gentlemen and Lady Katie, to take the temp. Taking the temp, brought to you by our friends at Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com.
Can I go off script here for a second?
And I love when you go off script.
Take the temp on Drew's reporting ability.
Yep.
Because it's all the way hot.
All the way hot.
One of my favorite things about Drew is like I'm like very, whenever I like ask questions, I try to like give context and try to give the players like an understanding of where I stand on a certain thing so I don't seem overly critical. My favorite thing about Drew is that he just comes in so hot. He's taking the temp and he's just asking like the hard questions, and it's really refreshing. I love it. So like anytime we're talking to AK, like the one that stands out, I don't know if I'm putting you on blast here, but he goes, AK, there's an argument to be made that you're in a worse position now than when you took over the team. That's how you started the question. I was just like, oh my God.
That is coming in hot.
That is taking the temp all the way dialed to the right on the hot side.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying that. That means a lot coming from somebody like you, man, for sure.
My guy.
But I think I'm just asking things that, first of all, I want to know.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the things I see from Bulls fans on Twitter or Blue Sky, they definitely want to know. And although we don't get the answers to these questions a lot, we have to ask it because you never know, what nugget.
Gotta get them on the record.
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, like those hard-hitting questions, and I agree with Goat. Anytime I hear, in like one of those sessions, instead of a scrum where it's like AK's at the podium and they like take turns and pass microphones around, as soon as I hear Drew's voice, I'm like, ooh, we got a heater coming. I know there's gonna be a heater coming.
That means a lot.
even if AK ducks the question or does not answer it in what I, a Bulls fan, would deem to be a satisfactory way, I still appreciate the fact that the question is asked because Bulls fans want to know. And even if they're not satisfied with the answer, we can all sit here as a collective group and say, yeah, that was a pretty bogus answer.
I'm like trying to paint curveballs around the edges of the zone, and Drew's just throwing
You're trying to curve bullets like wanted.
Just high heat.
Nobody comes in hotter than Joe Cali, though.
Oh, yeah.
True.
I mean,
I
don't know. Honestly, dude, you're up there. You give him a run.
I mean, yeah. Was it at some point?
Because they're good questions. It's not like they're unfair. It's just like you're stating
it's not gotcha questions or gotcha journalism. It's like you can absolutely make the argument that they are in a worse position than when AK took over this job as a franchise and as a competitive one. It's a fair question. It's not a gotcha question. It's a fair question. And, I think part of it is, like, I think Bulls fans have all learned by this point, public speaking is not one of AK's favorite hobbies and certainly not one of his best skills. And that makes it all the more frustrating, maybe, when he's trying to articulate his answers. And I don't think he's very good at it. But even still, sometimes he gets asked questions that he does not provide satisfactory answers to as the VP of basketball operations when you're saying, hey, this is where your team is. This is the team you built. And most fans expect more than this.
Which would be okay if his actions had led to more success. But when your actions are falling short and your words are falling short, it's just like you can't win. can't win.
And I actually feel like that, that is a huge part of the job. Like I've given Billy Donovan a ton of credit for being somebody who that like delivers the message clearly and concisely and doesn't isn't afraid to like say how he's going to do it. Like we asked him so many times last year about like Modest and the way he was handling that. And like he just didn't sugarcoat it, but he was very clear in his intentions that like he was not going to gift Modest minutes and like explained why that was. And I do feel like that's a big part of the executives' jobs too, is to be able to clearly deliver the messaging of what the franchise is doing. Because like if there's uncertainty or secrecy, it rubs fans the wrong way, I think.
Like, for example, when extensions get signed and they aren't loudly, proudly telling the fan base about it, and we have to, have people find out about it and report it, something like that.
Something like that.
So, as we are talking about AK and his message to Bulls fans over the past year, patience this, and we're getting there that, and we're looking for a deep, good team, hashtag 9 to 10 good players. Drew, you posed this question on Twitter the other day. Just how would you grade the Bulls' offseason moves thus far? And you didn't, say how would you grade AK's offseason. And one of these things, at least I think, is not a decision that AK made, as in resurrecting the pinstripe. That's probably something that ownership and the Bulls business people thought was a good idea.
But is that also not the clear number one?
Yeah. But so drafting Noa Essengue, re-signing Tre Jones, swapping Lonzo Ball for Isaac Okoro, extending Billy, and resurrecting the pinstripes. So there's 5 options there. I also think that there's one you didn't list because it hasn't been done yet.
Yeah.
Obviously being Josh Giddey negotiations.
Yeah.
I could make the argument that even though we don't know yet what the Josh Giddey terms, financial and length of years yet are on that deal, you can already rank the fact that AK hasn't signed him yet pretty high on the list of his offseason accomplishments. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Had I put that on the list, had it been a done deal, that would have been first.
Yeah.
If only because it would have been an indication of them maybe learning from past mistakes. Obviously, we don't know what that contract's going to be yet, but
if it were 5/150, we would already know.
Yeah.
And it's I think the fact that we're waiting as long as we are trends towards a good sign that he's actually going to do some haggling.
Yeah, because I think the expectation, whether tongue-in-cheek or not, was that they were going to re-sign him immediately and not let him test the market and just pounce as soon as they could. And the fact that it's dragged on this long and, it doesn't seem like Josh Giddey's going to get his way, so to speak, quote unquote. I think that's big. It speaks to, hopefully, again, that this front office has learned a little bit along the way and is willing to use leverage when they have it at their disposal. Whether or not this is going to continue, I'm not sure, because we just saw with the Lonzo Ball, Isaac Okoro trade, some could argue as well that they didn't use some of the leverage that they had. So again, it's the thing with this front office, man, it's hard for me to judge one move in and of itself because typically it's coming after a move or an inaction that forced their hand in some way, shape, or form. So it's hard for me to separate these things and not look at it in totality, which, rightly or wrongly.
I think you can pretty easily look at the Tre Jones re-signing in a vacuum without all of the. I think generally speaking, I agree with the point you just made. It's this decision begets this decision begets this decision, and AK had aggressively painted himself into a pretty uncomfortable corner over the last few years at the helm. But for example, I think probably a lot of fans, if you're ranking what he did well this offseason, keeping Tre Jones on that deal would probably be at the top of the list for a lot of Bulls fans.
Yeah, Drew, what was your take on it? Because unlike Giddey, like you're saying, I mean, he signed the first day. I think that was the first signing
as we were wrapping up our live free agency show on day one. So it wasn't
immediate, but it was the 3 years, about $8 million. Later came out that it was it a flat deal? There's a team option on the end. What's your take on Tre Jones, a player, and the Bulls bringing him back at that price?
I think Tre Jones surprised me. I think the opinion I had of him was somebody who, just was pretty good at distributing the ball, low turnover player, wasn't really giving you much offensively, but the way that he played down the stretch, The way that he could get to the basket and finish really kind of blew me away just for that stretch of games that we saw him in. He did an awesome job filling in for Ayo while he was out and while he was on the men. The deal, I guess it's okay. That came before the Okoro Ball trade, right? Did that precede that?
I think it was after.
No, because I think the Lonzo trade happened between the
draft,
draft happening and before free agency starting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think in light of that, I think that helps kind of frame the decision to bring him back on the deal that they did. I think it's okay. I didn't have a big problem with that deal whatsoever. I'm glad that they attached the team option.
Yeah.
Getting away from the player options when they can. It's always a good thing.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about these. I'm not sure if it's like better to like go through our takes on each one and then put them into order, or like think about the context of each of them in comparison to the others. Because like you look at the Tre Jones signing and like in a vacuum, I agree. That's like a fine deal, fine value. But just looking at the other point guards that got deals in the early parts of free agency, like they swooped in immediately and gave him a deal. His older brother, who I think a lot of people would argue is a better player. I don't know if I believe that or not. Like Tre was awesome with the Bulls last year. Mm-hmm. I think unsustainably awesome.
But I think Tyus has had a bigger role on more notable teams over the last few years.
And he's just like, I think a more, he's just like a more known commodity in terms of what he brings. He signed a 1-year deal for $7 million. Tre got 3 years, $8 million per. So I do feel like that was another example of what you're saying the Bulls did not do with Giddey, which is an unnecessary overpay. Do I think it's a bad thing to have Tre Jones back on the roster? Absolutely not. I thought Tre was awesome. But to me, it was like a move that you make if you're going to move off of one of your other point guards. And instead, they haven't made any of those moves.
And even though they did, as you brought up, Drew, move on from Lonzo Ball, it was like Lonzo was healthy for a little while, but then he got hurt again and wasn't around. They lost Ayo to the shoulder, but Ayo's coming back. They said he's ahead of schedule with his offseason, shoulder surgery recovery. So it's like, yeah, you moved off from Lonzo, but you still got Kobe, you still got Ayo, and of course Josh Giddey, who you are planning to retain. And they've said, we like Ayo, we want to keep Ayo. There was reporting that the Bulls are swatting away teams calling about Ayo. We love Kobe, we want to keep Kobe. They just used him alongside Modest in the pinstripe rollout. That sounds like a guy they want to keep around, looks like a guy they want to keep around. And then, of course, Giddey. So it's like, yeah, it's a good team-friendly deal, quote-unquote, with a modest salary and the team option. But why do you need Tre Jones around if you love all three of Kobe, Ayo, and Josh and are keeping all of them?
Yeah, it made me think that I think it came out that, this deal may be an indication that they were trying to trade Ayo, and then that talk or those rumors just kind of stopped all of a sudden. And you made a great point, Will, that if you do sign Tre Jones, you kind of think you have to get off somebody else just because how many of these guys are going to play together?
Because you got to pay Kobe and Ayo next summer.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So maybe they thought they had something in the works and it just didn't happen, or maybe they think they laid the groundwork for more deals coming up in February going into the trade deadline. But it does leave you questioning again where this thing is headed.
And then it also cuts into the cap space, which they've been saying for the last 18 months that they're going to have flexibility in 2026. Like, again, it's not a huge dollar amount. I don't think this is like an egregious overpay. It's not like even the Javon Carter thing where they didn't get a chance to see him in their system. Like, we know Tre can be a good player with the Bulls. We know Billy loved him. We know he can be productive, but it's crowded back there. You've got other decisions to make and you're losing some flexibility there. I'm glad I remember writing the day he got hurt that they should bring him back regardless of what happens because he was playing so well and helping guys. So I have no problem with Tre. I like him a lot as a player. I just think that like the context around it was a little bit questionable, as it was for the Lonzo Ball Okoro trade, as it was for the Noa Essengue draft pick, as it was for extending Billy Donovan. So we'll get into all of that and more after the break.
There you go. Look at Goat leading us into the ad break for me. Hit the like button, y'all.
This is a Jeopardy clue. Mm-hmm. This is what time it is.
What is game time?
Game time. Hoot. Game time makes getting tickets faster and easier than ever. You can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. They have killer last minute deals, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. So prices actually go down as it gets closer to tip off. They also have our favorite, the zone deal. Save more when you choose the section and you let Game Time choose the seat. The fees are included. You know your total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout, and you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly how far you can stretch out your legs. They have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference, and you can your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So what time is it?
Game Time Hoot.
Game Time Hoot.
Today's show also brought to you by Ray. New vehicles in store, Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, and this is your chance to score a great deal at the Labor Day sales event. Head to Ray CDJR on Route 12 today to choose from their huge inventory on new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles. Right now, you can get up to $15,000 off MSRP or get 0% financing for 72 months on the new 2025 Jeep Wagoneer S. Plus, shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. The team at Ray is here to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. And with that Ray's price promise, you know you will never pay a penny more than the price listed. No add-ons, no hidden fees ever. So don't miss out on their Labor Day sales event for huge savings on the Jeep Wagoneer S. For more information, visit Ray CDJR today on Route 12 in Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com. They've been serving the community since 1963.
Nice.
We roll along, CHGO Bulls hanging out Wednesday. Peck, Goat, Drew Stevens sitting in, Katie on the controls. Katie, you want to do some official ranking?
Katie's taking over.
I'm taking over.
She's going Tre Jones point guard mode.
I'm going Tre Jones mode. All right, so we have five off-season moves. Let's start at the bottom, and then I will put the numbers next to them.
Starting from what we each think is the worst move.
What is the worst move of the offseason?
Okay, I got a hot take.
Peck.
I got a hot take, and I think most Bulls fans will think the opposite. Worst thing that has happened this offseason is that the very worst thing on this list of options that Drew Stevens Arpel gave us, the worst thing is that they brought back the pinstripe jerseys. I know they're fan favorites, and that's exactly why it is the worst thing. Gonna sell like hotcakes. Gonna get those butts in the seats, proudly display their brand new pinstripe jerseys. And where will the team be going? Another play-in tournament exit, perhaps? Not making the play-in tournament? 4 games under 500? 2 games under 500? 6 games under 500? I don't know, but they'll be looking gosh darn good looking doing it. See, this is how upset it gets me when the Bulls make a freaking cash grab that has nothing to do with the team being good, other than hearkening back to the good old days when they were actually good. Worst thing this offseason, the pinstripe jerseys. As much as I love them, as much as I want one, it gets them nowhere as a basketball team. And that drives me freaking crazy because everybody's going to love it and everybody's going to buy it. That's my take.
I'm glad Drew got to witness that live.
But I think most fans would probably unanimously vote that's the best thing that's happened this offseason.
Yeah, I definitely was leaning towards that being towards the top. But you bring a compelling point. I'm going to defer to Drew, though. What would you put number 5 here?
So as we were chatting briefly just now, I think in my head, and this has nothing to do with Noa Essengue at all because we don't know what type of player he's going to be. We do think that he can have a high ceiling. But if we're going to look at this thing in terms of the extra draft capital that this organization does not have, I think the worst move of this list is drafting Noa Essengue and not taking advantage of the deal that was reportedly on the table from the New Orleans Pelicans.
The big swing from Joe Dumars.
The big swing.
I feel like it's like, do we even have to say reportedly? Like Joe Dumars said he offered this to everybody starting at 9. And it's hard to like blame only the Bulls because other teams passed on it too. But that is, I mean, we talked about that post from Sam Quinn the other day at CBS about that being the number 1 trade asset that any other team has right now.
Yep.
Not having that when you had a chance to have that, like, the opportunity cost there is pretty big. And like Noah could be a great player. I was excited watching him. I think I had him 12th overall on my big board. I was fine with them taking him at the time. But I do think, like, including that context, that was probably the most damaging of all of the moves this summer. And so I don't hate that at 5.
Yeah, for the last few seasons, when DeMar was here and Zach was here, we talked about, even last season, we talked about how small the margins were for the team on the court. But I think they're even worse in the boardroom because of the way they tend to operate, the way that they're choosing to go about this rebuild, retool, where they're taking other teams' castaways, not trying to get additional draft capital or anything like that. They're shrinking the margins they have to give themselves opportunities to get better, to draft high-end players that are going to be on cost-effective deals when you are running an organization, running a team that traditionally likes to stay under the luxury tax. Like, why wouldn't you jump on the opportunity to get those types of players in the building who are not going to cost you as much and have high upside?
Yeah, I feel like the odds of Noah, how can I put this? The odds of Noah being better than, who was the 23rd pick? I'm blanking on.
Was it Asanul?
Asanul.
Yeah.
The odds of him being the difference of the value of the next year's pick.
Yeah.
Better than
Asanul
is, I think,
slim to none.
I mean, even if he's a star, like, which I think is a long shot, it's hard to pass on that kind of potential value. But to your point, Drew, that they're not thinking about ways that we can be better down the line, or, you know, like putting themselves in position to get good eventually. It's about getting good today. But even with that, it's like Noah's not ready to contribute at the level that they want from him because they're trying to make the playoffs this year. And it's hard for us to imagine. Maybe we're wrong, but like it's hard for me to at least imagine him being in the playoff rotation. So the value of Noah at that pick, I'm totally fine with. I was happy with that. I thought that was the right pick at the time. The context is what puts it there for me.
So the context, I think, is legitimate as far as a reason for both of it. Sounds like there's 2 votes for as much as we might believe in the future of Noa Essengue. Because of that, the move of this pile of things that you guys like the least.
I think so.
2 beats 1, Katie. So I think that means we're putting Noah at the bottom, which is crazy. For a team going nowhere that had a lottery pick, them picking him is the worst part of their offseason? Great. Awesome. I feel great about this list so far, guys.
Yeah, it's tough look.
All right, so number 5 filled out
Are we
there.
moving in the right direction, Katie?
You are. I love this.
Good.
Number 4, where you guys feel like you want to go?
I would vote the Lonzo for Okoro trade as the next worst thing, but that is my specific feeling of Isaac Okoro, the player, and what he can do for this team moving forward. And AK targeting another cast-off from a good team that decided that they were in a point of being good and getting great, that they had no use for this player who was not good or great. Some Bulls fans I know disagree. Shout out to my pal C. Red Fred, president of the Okoro fan club. But I just, you mentioned earlier, Drew, the value that you could have had, the leverage you could have had with Lonzo on such a team-friendly 1-and-1 team option deal, who did show for a part of last season that when he is healthy, man, is he a difference maker on both ends of the floor. Probably could have gotten some draft capital for him. There were reports of draft capital being on the table for him, and instead AK targets another flawed player in a 1-for-1 trade. I didn't love it when it happened. I still don't love it now. I will come into the season open-minded with what Isaac Okoro can do, maybe even projected number 3 and Billy starting 5. Okay. Still don't love it right now.
Yeah, I would have ranked that 4th as well. It has to do with Isaac Okoro, the player he is today, and maybe the difficulty I think he'll have becoming an even better player, or the one that this franchise traded for him to be. And it also has to do with Lonzo Ball. And again, what we talked about earlier, maybe the deals that they passed up on at the trade deadline last season, they could have moved off Lonzo and maybe gotten some draft capital. It would have been the 18th pick from the Memphis Grizzlies in this past draft, had they taken on Marcus Smart's contract, who was again bought out, and now he's with the LA Lakers. So it's hard for me, again, to kind of look at these things in and of themselves without, especially with Lonzo Ball, the context of what maybe could have been in the past. And then just, I don't know, man. It's I know it's tricky because Lonzo's health is always kind of up in the air, but what if you held on to him, let him play a little bit into this upcoming season? Would a team maybe have come calling at the trade deadline, one that, is trying to make the playoffs and maybe needs somebody who is as smart as Lonzo, doesn't have to play a lot of minutes the rest of the regular season, but can play an integral part in the playoff run? And then also with Isaac Okoro, you look at it from the position of the other players on the team. Like, is he going to play on the court with Ayo? Are they both going to play in the lineup at the same time? Like, you got a lot of guys who are kind of redundant.
Yep.
Which makes you wonder, again, what may be cooking, hopefully cooking maybe, going into the next season in the trade deadline. Like, there's still work that needs to be done.
And one of the guys that's redundant is untradeable unless somebody like Patrick Williams. Like, there's a lot of redundancy for Okoro now all of a sudden, according to AK, being a big piece of what the Bulls are going to do, defining their defensive identity. And it's like, okay, yeah,
I think he'll help to a certain degree. He kind of like will step in and probably be their best point of attack defender. And, we heard a lot of talk about what he can do in transition. And obviously this team wants to run. They want to try to score fast and get easy buckets, and he should be able to help with that. But again, it just, what is this roster build? What are we trying to shape this roster to be?
Yeah, I think the value to me in general was not great with the Lonzo Okoro trade. Like, I agree that Lonzo is just not someone you can like really bank on long term to be playing 75 games a year and like building with you. But you traded a two-way player for a one-way player, and you didn't have many two-way players to begin with. So I think it's just hard to. We talk so much about like building around Josh Giddey. You need two-way players around him, and I think Okoro's taken strides as a shooter. Like, he had a good percentage last year. I don't feel like he shoots enough to really put any pressure on defenses. It's a lot of open threes, same as Giddey, same as Vooch, where guys just aren't really guarding them. And yeah, they're making you pay, but it's low volume. Yeah. And so I do think that having the stability of Isaac Okoro, hopefully him developing more and growing into a bigger role where he is kind of the defensive anchor on the perimeter, maybe alongside Ayo, of guys that just like help transform this defense into something that is better than what it has been, better than what, to a point where the Bulls need. But I just feel like they could have done better. And I don't know if necessarily those moves were available in the same way during the offseason that they were during the regular season, similar to Caruso, where you trade him late and you're not able to get as much. Like, is this the best they could have done? Maybe they could have held on to him a little bit longer and tried to flip him. I'm not opposed to trading Lonzo because I think you just needed to make that move. I just don't love Okoro. But I guess I'm curious, like, between him and Tre, who I would probably put, I agree with Okoro at 4 and Tre probably I would put at 3. Which one of those two guys do you think is more impactful for the Bulls in the next 2 years?
That's a good question.
Do you guys have any takes on that?
Okoro and Tre Jones, who impacts winning more for this team over the next 2 years? Oh, God.
That's a tough question just because of Lonzo's health history.
I might lean Tre Jones. Is that crazy?
I mean, he's going to probably be coming off the bench, whereas I think Okoro has a chance to start.
Sure. Yeah.
But
I have little faith in Okoro right now, and I saw what Tre Jones can do.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And the AK might be hyped about Okoro and the defensive identity. I'll believe it when I see it. The Bulls defined their offensive identity last season. It might not be an elite offense, but they know what it is and how to do it. And when they do it at their best, they score close to 140 points. When they're running and creating turnovers, not just, turning the ball over themselves, and the shooter shots are falling, it's an offense that can win games 138 to 130. And if Tre Jones is a part of that, I see that as a bigger impact than whatever Okoro was doing to define this team's defense every night.
Would you guys agree, though, that Lonzo for Okoro, if that's 4, then Tre Jones is 3.
If the other
I know, Matt, you're adamant about the pinstripes, but I can't do that.
Well, and quickly before we move on, just wanted to shout out some people who are a believer in the Okoro trade, or at least liked pulling the trigger on Lonzo when they did. Stephen Hooker said, trading Lonzo for a mostly healthy possible starting 3-and-D wing isn't a bad thing. And Maddie Legend said, no, trade Lonzo ASAP. With our luck, he would have gotten a shoulder injury in Game 8. Very fair takes. Very fair takes. Just depends on how you feel. 3 of the remaining options being re-signing Tre, extending Billy, and the pinstripes. I guess by default, I would say the Tre Jones signing at 3 because it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And look, I'm no huge Billy Donovan fan, but I have stated more than enough times on this program that I don't think he is this organization's biggest problem as to why they're not winning organization. So, did I love the Billy extension? No. I think there needs to be a clean slate, across the board in every single way with this team, except Modest. Protect Modest at all costs. But, Billy's not a problem. So by default, he's going to climb higher on my list of things that they did this offseason that have me less cranky than, I don't know.
Yeah, I was very curious to get Drew's perspective on Billy Donovan because, you've also had a lot of interaction with him and I think see the vision of what he's trying to say. So where did you land on that?
I like the Billy Donovan extension just because, let me preface that with, we knew it was coming, so It wasn't a surprise that it came. So we knew what was going to happen there. But I think that Billy is, to say he's a competent coach is putting it lightly. It's not giving him enough credit, I don't think. I think he gets probably a little bit too much slack for when down in OKC. But I think he, like we talked about earlier, played a pivotal role in how Modest Buzelis played last season, the development, how tough he was on him, to get him to kind of clean up some of his mistakes, and I'm sure that's going to continue into this upcoming season. I'm interested to see how he decides to handle Noa moving forward. And I think just because he is the mouthpiece for this organization, he's the one kind of taking the arrows that are meant for Arturas and Mark. He means so much more to this organization than just being on the sidelines or in practice day in and day out. So he probably would be, if we're going to keep resurrecting the pinstripes on this list, he probably will fall first or second. If we're going to take the pinstripes out, to your point, Matt, he probably floats up to, I guess, the best move of the offseason.
What do you think, Goat?
I think the pinstripes are just fun. That was the first. I get it. There's
fun for everyone.
They're fun. I'm happy with that at number 1, because nobody dislikes them. I know there's
no. I think most people love those jerseys. Some will point out that the Bulls of yesteryear, the Bulls of days gone by, did not actually have a great record when wearing those jerseys. Shout out to our pal Jack Silverstein, shot on Elo, great Substack. Check him out. He loves talking about that all the time. As much as the pinstripe jerseys are a beloved part of the lore of the dynasty years, the Bulls' record in the pinstripes was not good.
They don't exactly have a great record without the pinstripes either.
This is true.
Of recent years, at least.
But yeah,
so for me, I would go pinstripes number 1, Billy number 2, Tre 3, Lonzo Okoro 4, Noa 5.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
With me?
Other than just my salty rant about the pinstripes and being a cash grab from ownership, I think that's fair. I think most Bulls fans would, well, I don't want to say most Bulls fans would agree with the whole list. Some might take contention with certain things. Obviously, we know that there are a lot of Billy Donovan
Certainly
skeptics.
When this turns into a graphic and goes on to the internet and people see Noah at 5, I'm sure they will get angry about it.
I did not come into this conversation thinking that that's where we were going to land.
I didn't know where we were going to land.
Me neither. But it's crazy that is at 5 because, like you, Goat, I had Noah on my board on draft night and would have been happy with him being taken so long as it wasn't something crazy if they passed on Malawach, if he was on the board, I would have been upset with Essengue. But given the circumstances and given the board, I was okay with it because I wasn't a big Derek Queen guy with the draft scouting stuff that I watched. So I get that. But it is a pretty crazy list when you look at it. But again, the other part of this conversation, and we touched on it in the beginning, you can add somewhere in there a sixth number, and depending on where it is, it could end up being number 1 on the list when we see the final dollars and years of the Josh Giddey contract. And if you were to pencil in waiting to sign Josh Giddey as long as you have AK, I honestly would put that number 1 right now. That is how much I am proud of AK for not throwing $150 million at Josh Giddey on June 30th just because he could. And I, as a Bulls fan, was fearful of that happening. I really was. Because, history and evidence. So, honestly, that's the thing that I would give AK the most praise for this offseason. Really and truly. Is the fact that we're sitting here on August 13th and Giddey has yet to be signed.
And that brings me to my question for Drew, which is, we've kind of talked around it, but what is your perspective on the offer that the Bulls should give to Giddey at this point? Like, do you expect them to come to an agreement before camp? 2, how do you feel about Giddey being kind of like the focal point of the offense for the near, possibly long-term? Are you a shorter-term contract, longer-term contract guy? Like, where do you kind of land on all that stuff?
So I definitely think that they're going to come to terms on a contract. For me, the number never really was a big deal to me. The bigger deal to me, and I apologize if I make some Josh Giddey fans upset, I'm just not.
We're used to it around here.
I'm just not a big Josh Giddey fan in terms of the role he wants to play and the player he believes himself to be and the player that he thinks he's going to be moving forward. I don't think that he can be the engine for a really successful basketball team. And I know that he played really well during the better part of the second half of the season. The Bulls went 17-13 when the new guys started playing. So your Tre Joneses, your Zach Collinses, and that, I think, comes out to about a 46-win season.
Woo.
I don't think they're going to be a 46-win team next season. I don't agree with the structure that AK is going with in terms of this next roster build. I hope Josh Giddey proves me wrong and can be a player that, does enough defensively, gets to the rim, draws fouls, can orchestrate an offense and not be hunted so mercilessly on the defensive end.
Yeah.
And can be, again, the type of player that he thinks he can be. I don't see it with him, and I really don't see him and Kobe White working as a backcourt together moving forward. I wish that the Bulls would use, all their resources and in terms of trying to get draft capital and looking at the bigger picture of things. I think that with this new collective bargaining agreement, where it becomes even more significant to win on the margins or to think 2, 3, 4 steps ahead, this front office worries me because they have not done that a lot. Now, I give them credit for what they're doing with Josh Giddey and not going out and re-signing him right away. That's positive in that sense, but I need to see more from them, especially as it pertains to them eventually putting together a championship-winning team. Like, they have a plan.
Yes.
Their plan, to me, as it's been expressed to us in the media and through us to the fans, is to bank on internal development. And this offseason coming up where they're going to have some cap space, but I just don't believe that's going to lead to anything that's going to get them any closer to winning a championship.
So with that, I mean, as we have a little bit of time left, let's circle back to what you said earlier on, which is you could see the Bulls even falling out of the play-in tournament picture this year because you're not buying the vision of this AK roster build. And I agree with a lot of what you just said. It is also true that the East is garbage. So, if you extrapolate that 17-13 record with essentially the post-Levine trade roster, which right now looks to be the same roster coming into this, and that over 82, that leads to 46 wins, I agree. I do not see 46 wins from this squad this upcoming season. I can see 36. But so if you're saying you can see them even falling short of 10, you got your Charlottes, your Washington Wizards, your what is Toronto doing? Brooklyn. Are you saying Charlotte? You're saying you could see some of those teams pushing the Bulls out of the play-in tournament?
Yeah, I think it'll bank on the first 2.5 months of the season for sure, especially those those bottom rung teams as we see them and what they do, and if they fall off, are they just going to stay off? Like, there's no sense of us trying to compete for something bigger than what we can manage. But we talk about the East being weak, but weak for who? Like, it's at least 5 deep. If you talk about the Cavs, the Knicks, Magic, Hawks, and Pistons, I don't think it's open for the Bulls. Like, it's open for certain teams, but it's not open for the Bulls. I think the wild card teams
is they're going to be the 6th
seed. No. I think it's the wild card teams here are obviously the 76ers because of health.
Right.
What's going to happen there? I think the Boston Celtics, can they stay afloat? Can they continue to play their style of play and bank wins in the regular season to not fall out of playing contention?
And insert Pacers, same thing.
See, I think the Pacers are going to be okay. Obviously, losing Tyrese for the season is going to hurt them, but I still think they have – and Miles. But I think they have enough competent players. I think Andrew Nembhard is going to take a step. I think he might be a most improved player candidate. Pascal Siakam is still there. I think they're still going to be, the 6th, 7th best team in the East. Another wild card team is the Raptors. I know there's a lot of talk about what they're going to do offensively and – spacing-wise, with a lot of guys who can't stretch the floor, can't, have the gravity to give guys driving lanes and space to operate. But they have, pretty good NBA talent. They're decently deep enough. And I just see the Bulls fighting for 10th or 11th, and depending on, again, how that first month, 2 months, 2.5 months goes, even though they're known to run through the tape of the regular season, I think there's a good chance that they miss it this year and are the 11th best team in the Eastern Conference.
Ooh. It's fascinating because, so just kind of looking at the standings here, I think Wizards, Hornets, Nets, easy, you can wipe those 3 out. That leaves you 12 teams. I agree with your top 5. Cavs, Knicks, Pistons, Magic, Hawks. So now you have in between 6 and 12, right? You have the Celtics, the Pacers, the Bucks, the Heat, the Bulls, and the Raptors. And I think with the uncertainty of Boston, Indiana, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia, I could see all those teams being terrible. I could see all those teams being ahead of the Bulls. I just have no idea. It's like health is going to determine so much of that. I think the Raptors and the Bulls are kind of in that same mix. But I agree. I've talked to people that think the Raptors are going to be not good this year. I've talked to people that think the Raptors are going to be much better this year. And I also just wonder how inertia kind of plays out in the sense that you have some teams that are just going to go for it, and you have some teams that are just not. And I wonder which teams fall into which category. As I mentioned, health is going to play a role there. Could I see the Bulls being 12th? Yeah, I kind of could. Could I see them being 6th? Yep. If everything breaks right and all these other teams just collapse with injuries? No, that's not likely, but
you're going to be the 6th seed at 41 and 41 if that happens.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, I don't see the Bulls being a 46-win team.
I agree. I 100% agree. I don't think they have that kind of upside. It's more that I believe that all these other teams have that kind of downside and that sort of incentive. I mean, last year we saw some egregious tanking for one player at the top of the draft.
Yeah.
You have 3 of those guys.
Save one.
You have 3 of those guys in this draft. Teams are not going to mess around. And I think when you look at 2027, nobody's really talking about who's at the top of that draft. So this is kind of the last ditch effort for a lot of these teams that are really, you mentioned the Eastern Conference teams, but it's the Jazz. This is their chance to get a great player. And we know the volatility of the lottery. So much of it is out of your control, but you can control how far you could potentially fall. And so if you're the worst team, you're putting yourself in a great position to get a top 3 pick. And that's kind of what these teams need. If you get the 3rd pick this year, you're feeling incredible about that. And so I wonder which of these teams, if the Sixers get off to a rough start, are they going to pack it in? Again, I believe their pick is protected. If the Celtics get off to a tough start, are they just going to be you know what, Tatum's out. Maybe we now try to flip Derek White and Jaylen Brown and just tank this year and then rebuild around
a gap
Tatum
year would be
Boozer.
A perfectly logical decision for those front offices to make.
Same with the Pacers. Same with the Bucks. I guess they don't really have their pick, but it's if Giannis goes down, they have no one there that can create offense. And Miles Turner, great player, he's not generating a 45-win team. So
Bobby Portis.
Bulls legend.
I
just don't know. I think there's so much uncertainty in that 6 to 12 range, and I could see the Bulls literally being any position.
That's going to have to do it for today. Out of time. Thank you again to our pal Drew Stevens of the Bigs. Quick shout out. Tell the people in Bulls Nation, if they don't know already, where they can find y'all's great stuff.
You can find us at the Bigs Media on Twitter. We changed it because it was getting
I noticed that
a little confusing for some people. So yeah, we're at the Bigs Media on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at Drew_H_Stevens on Twitter and Blue Sky as well.
Love that.
He's the best, guys.
Will to go Gottlieb, Will_Gottlieb. Shout out to Queen of the Controls, the one and only Katie Duffy. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same place, 4 p.m. Central, with another guest sitting in that chair, holding it down through the dog days. How about this one? Instead of see red, be good. Peace be with you, y'all.
We all silly like the mayor.